From up here, our planet looks perfect. But it is only when we begin to look more closely that we get to see some of the results of our consumptions. We buy it, consume it, and after use, we throw them away illegally instead of making use of some authorized method such as a Cape site collection or even making use of some authorized rubbish dump. Does anyone even knows what happened to those trash when we throw them away? No. You see, the environment functions by building up and breaking down. And you and I get to put a lot of things into the environment that do not break down. And then research has shown that we produce more trash than life. We do not consider the consequences of our actions when we do a lot of things, when we throw a lot of waste into the environment. Most of the times, we do them out of sight or even out of mind, either consciously or even unconsciously. And this tends to show us that this problem is not just a local problem, but then it is a worldwide issue. And that is why you and I need to put in a whole lot of effort into eradicating the issue of refuse dump in our environment, because it is an issue that we can no longer ignore, but then we can change. Illegal refuse dumping refers to the dumping of large items of rubbish in public areas such as roadsides or illegal landfills, private land where waste is dumped without council's or environmental protection authority approval. Illegal dumping can impair the natural runoff of water during heavy rain or storms.
Refuse dump is simply an area, a place where people dump waste, that is unwanted material. So illegal refuse dump is just an indiscriminate dumping of refuse, that is dumping of refuse anywhere. It could be in front of your house, it could be just around your neighbor's door, it could be in front of somebody else's compound. Just doing it without, how do I put it, control.
The reasons people illegally dump vary. However, research indicates that lack of legal waste disposal options is a primary factor. A shortage of legal disposal options drives demand for waste removal service, increasing prices. Studies also have found unit pricing, which involves charging a set price per bag of garbage thrown out, may contribute to illegal dumping. Although the intent of unit pricing is to encourage people to use other forms of waste disposal, such as recycling and composting, people may turn to disposing of waste in unauthorized areas to save money. Additionally, weak enforcement of laws prohibiting illegal dumping and a lack of public awareness regarding the environmental, health, and economic damages of illegal dumping contribute. Effects of illegal dumping include health, environmental, and economic consequences. While legal waste disposal locations, such as landfills, are designed to contain waste and its byproducts from infiltrating the surrounding environment, illegal dumping areas do not typically incorporate with the same safeguards. Due to this, illegal dumping may sometimes lead to pollution of the surrounding environment. Toxins or hazardous materials infiltrating soil and drinking water threatens the health of local residents. Additionally, illegal dumping sites that catch fire pollute the air with toxic particles. Environmental pollution due to illegal dumping causes short-term and long-term health issues. Short-term issues include asthma, congenital illnesses, stress and anxiety, headache, dizziness and nausea, and eye respiratory infections. Long-term conditions include cancer, kidney, liver, respiratory, cardiovascular, brain, nervous diseases.
Of course, it's actually a serious issue, yes, and is what we see almost. If you take a look around, probably around your hostels, probably the lodges where you stay, you notice there's this indiscriminate dumping of refuse. Yes, and it's a problem because the hazard associated with irregular, indiscriminate dumping of refuse are so many. First of all, you are exposed to risk of outbreak of disease, infection, and all that. Because by the time you dump refuse in front of you, you may be cooking by the side. Now have flies, other microorganisms, both in the air around that may contaminate that food. And once you eat contaminated food from that has been contaminated with things from the waste, it becomes a problem. You may either fall ill, sometimes if not properly taken care of, may lead to death.
Beyond negative health outcomes due to pollution and toxic waste, illegal dumps pose a physical threat. Unstable piles of materials and exposed nails threaten harm to humans, specifically children who may be attracted to illegal dumps as play areas.
Aside from the health aspect, exposure to risk of diseases. For example, another example is the environment as a whole. The environment is also faced with that challenge. Take another example. You have refuse that has been dumped. Let me use your house for example. You dump refuse in front of your house. You keep complaining and complaining, and it's not taken care of. Then you decide to burn it. Burning is a way of reducing the waste, but it has its own challenges. Now, when you burn, open burning, the component you don't, because it's the waste, there are so many things involved in the waste. Some of them could be harmful to the environment. For example, in the process of burning, some gases are given up. So these gases, when they go into the atmosphere, it becomes a problem. It might interest you to know that this flooding, a recent change in the environment, the temperature, it could be as a result of some of these things which we ourselves may have caused.
Materials disposed of an illegal dumps, specifically tiles and electronic waste, are combustible. Outbreaks of fire at illegal dump sites can lead to forest fires, causing erosion and destroying habitat. Illegal dumping also negatively affects surrounding property values. Unattractive and odorous accumulations of waste discourage commercial and residential developers from improving communities. Additionally, existing residents may have difficulty taking pride in their neighbors.
First thing first, you don't dump, you should have a mapped out area where you can dump your refuse or waste. And it shouldn't be close to a residential or a business environment where people stay. You can just map out a particular area away from where people stay. Why? So that you don't expose them to those things I mentioned earlier. Do you understand? So you could just map out an area, you carve it out, and that place would strictly be used for dumping of refuse. So even if you want to get rid of them, it could be easily evacuated. In fact, there are some people that are charged, an agency that is charged with taking care of this waste. So if you can properly dispose them, you can call these people, they will help you evacuate the waste and take it to a safe area where it can be treated and taken care of.
In addition to decreasing property values and therefore tax revenue for government, illegal dumping costs government millions of nairas in clean-up costs.
The government has a major role to play. One of it is setting up rules and regulations that guide proper disposal of waste. In fact, this agency that I just talked about that is charged with taking care of waste, they also try to enforce the law guiding it, that is the indiscriminate dumping of refuse. So if you are caught dumping refuse where you are not supposed to, they have the right to bundle you or charge you and you face the law. So what the government needs to play is, the role the government needs to play here is to, the laws are there. The problem now is enforcing the law. They have to enforce the law, make sure it gets to the grassroots. You need to understand that there's a need to properly take care of your waste. Yes, you don't just dump waste anyhow. You should have a proper channel or an area where you can dump your waste for it to be properly taken care of. Because if you don't do that, you are also exposing yourself to so many health risks. So it's important that you take care of your waste and also educate, advise other people, because if I can talk to my neighbor and my neighbor does the right thing, your neighbor talks to another person, before you know, we are going to have a clean and safe environment.
Today in our society, a lot of lives have been lost, and there are even some that are sick right now in the hospital bed, all because of this issue of wrong disposal or illegal disposal of waste in our environment. It is your responsibility and my responsibility to keep our environment clean at all times, and that's because our health is our wealth.